Chiefs are at camp, and it is a fight back and forth and back and forth. Day one started hot for the offense, including Xavier Worthy. Day two came back. The defense said, hold your horses. We ain't done. We got stuff to do. There are a lot of familiar faces trying to keep this guy from going off. And I, for one, am happy to see the defense come on strong because, you know, if you can call him Vader, you can call him whatever you want. But you got to try to stop him, even if you're his teammates. And that's the way to go. Welcome in. It is live training camp Q&A with Dan Harms and Ryan Tracy. This is RGR Football. Welcome in. We are not going to bash around here. We're going to start off hot, and we're going to get right to it because, Dan, I love to see the back and forth. This is what it's about for me. I know it's an offensive league, and I know this is an offensive team, but I want to see punch for punch back and forth. What did you think about the way it started so far?
It's exactly how the NFL season goes. Everyone comes out hot with the offenses, and then it's Steve Spagnuolo at his finest, right? He comes out, everyone's like, brings in a lot of information. Okay, we have all this information. It's the bye week. Hey, guess what? Now we got to plan and execute. So it's exactly how the Chiefs want to operate. They want the offense to come out, and then you get the response from the defense. And just real quick, that picture from Patrick Mahomes in the locker room with the two red bars, it goes so hard. It is one of the coolest pictures I think I have ever seen.
Yeah, I have to admit I enjoy that quite a bit because, you know, he's unique and you can paint him as the villain if you want. I think he actually enjoys that for the teams that do. Oh, yeah. Some teams are falling apart. We're going to talk about the Bengals later and what they're not going to be able to get done. We're going to get to that. We're going to cover everybody that's stepping up in the defensive side in training camp. There's a lot of turnover there, including a couple of names you didn't expect. The Chiefs have had to make some moves already. But it comes down to, as much as I love it, and we're gonna put it up here. You know what? Why not? Let's see if we can use this version. You know what? You gotta love seeing this, but in the end, you gotta have him out there every week. A roll out, a deep ball, and just a nice route adjustment. My boy Cook got cooked. Sorry, bro. You got to play a little bit deeper against Xavier Worthy. That's just the way it is. I mean, it's all right. But in the end, he couldn't come out today on day two. So it's a little bit back and forth. I, for one, am not concerned about Xavier right now. Are you?
No, he got sick. You know, I think what he did is he caught something on that touchdown pass too. Like he caught that along with the pass, right? Just caught a little sick. It happens sometimes. We all get, you know, my wife got sick 2 days ago. My daughter was sick on Friday. And sometimes you catch a deep ball and a cold comes with it. It is what it is.
It is. Nice to see our regulars in here. Cody and Scott and Brenda. Nice to see all of you guys. Jeremy just made it in. Chief Belief is here. Steve, Christo. We're going to get to all your questions, folks. If you don't know us, this is what we do. This is your Q&A on Monday nights. No matter what Monday night it is, unless it happens to be a Monday night football game for the Chiefs, in which case we'll do a little bit of Q&A with our normal Sunday breakdown. Just to remind you guys, putting out content is pretty much all week long for us. We'll have some days that you won't see something from us, but most you will. And we will get to the post-game streams once the preseason begins. So don't fret about that. And I'm giving you some pieces here and there as we go. I'll have something for you next Sunday. I'm going to have something on the running backs tomorrow. So check that out. And I know, Steve, you already have a question for it. We're going to get into them, and we're going to start right there with you as we get there. But if you guys would, hit the like, hit the sub, become part of us. If you want the gear, you can get it in the store in the links. So how are the running backs looking in camp? And so far, from everything that I've seen and heard and folks that have been out there have told me, it's a little bit kind of we're waiting for them to actually get used in a way that makes us understand where they're at. Pacheco's Pacheco. Clyde is Clyde, although I have some thoughts about him tomorrow. And then this whole thing with Kadarius Toney. Like, is he really going to be a running back? I think there is a way to line him up and try to get some use from him out of the backfield. At this point, anything you can do to salvage value from Kadarius Toney's contract, I'm all for. Where do you sit?
I mean, again, we're trying to find ways to use this guy who, one, has done nothing but go back and try to out coaches for lying in public, not being real serious on the social media places. We're trying to pretty much find ways to salvage anything. Sometimes you just got to let a man loose, okay? I'll be very honest with you. But if he makes the roster, it's, in my opinion, only as a running back. He only makes it that way. He's making it as a receiver because there's too many bodies for too little spots.
Yeah, I cannot argue with you. And honestly, between a shot with Sky Moore and Andy Reid yesterday that was pretty telling about what Sky Moore doesn't quite have down. Plus, a lot of folks talking to me about how much tutelage is going on for Kadarius still. Two guys that are squarely in sight of not making this roster that I really think that they have to try to sort out. But again, that's not a running back. Both of them can be used that way, but that's kind of where it stands right now, Steve. I believe it's 2 more days till we get pads, and then we should see the running backs, I think, kind of flourish a little bit more. But Christo also had a tie-in for you because of LRZ and mixing him in at there. Do you still need Jarek? And I will say Kadarius takes care of the speed element, but not the experience element, not the trust factor. Neither of these players can replace Jerick McKinnon in terms of being a trustworthy guy that Patrick knows he can get the ball to and will do something positive with it. Am I missing something, Dan?
There's just no pass protection still. Like, he's not doing anything. He can't pass protect. Like, none of these guys can pass protect properly. To be very honest with you, maybe Carson Steele can, but we won't find out until you get the pads on. So right now we're in this holding pattern of, are they going to bring someone back? Are they going to legitimately ride with this if they feel the offensive line's up to snuff where they don't have to use the running backs that way enough? But you have to have someone that can do a little bit of pass protection regardless of how you feel about your offensive line. And unless that point the guy is a UDFA rookie, it doesn't make me comfortable personally.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nice to see you guys. Thanks, James. Thanks, Mr. James. Sorry, Mayor James. Nice
Mr.
to see
James.
you. Mike Burton made it back in. Nice to see you, Mike.
Love it.
Always like having you in the chat there, buddy. Lego, you're back with a vengeance. I like it. I appreciate it. If you guys would hit that like, that's awesome. And Sam, I'm glad you were able to catch it live. We've been having a good time. If you guys want on the show tonight, all the super chats get an answer just like they always have. I know it's been a long summer and everybody's had stuff to do, but that is still the way that we work. We will definitely get you something for your super chat, just like
Absolutely.
Scotty just threw in, and I'm going to jump down to him to get him on. Thank you, Scott, for your support. Appreciate you. With the Bengals steal the Chiefs blueprint and pull a Ty Hill move. It's a good question. Will they be the next team to take a stand and just say no? I don't think it's taking a stand, but I don't know. I took it today as you are going to have your superstar wide receiver pissed off all season. Maybe you think that makes him play better. Maybe it doesn't. But T. Higgins is out the door. You can't afford to franchise him for a second time next year, and he don't want to be there. You have pissed off the 2 guys that Joe Burrow needs the absolute most. I don't know what they're doing. Do you?
This is what the Bengals do. This is just, they don't want to spend money. They know they're going to have to pay Joe. And they're like, we don't want to spend any more money because we're cheap. All right. We want to compete with the Chiefs and be up there. But at the end of the day, if it's going to cost us money, I don't want that. Like that, they just don't want it. So they're being tight with their own money, and it's going to cost them opportunities. It's just what it is. You need to pay you have to have a guy. The Chiefs did it with Travis Kelce. They had a guy, okay, last year, and they won a Super Bowl. Yeah. If you say, you know what, we're not really feeling it. We don't want to pay this guy along with the quarterback, and we're going to also let our other wide receiver out the door, you're not serious about winning. And there's also a bunny that feels the same way. Bunny came over here as soon as I was talking about spending money. That's where that came from.
Yeah, that's how those things work. I mean, it's always good to see what's going on in your household, Dan. It's not just a bunny. It happens to be attached to a little blonde girl that we know.
Not anymore.
Hi, Miss Avery. Okay, well, I guess there's that. Then it's just bunny time. Folks, this is what we do around here. Welcome. It's a family show. The family's involved from some production side or another.
Oh, yeah. Come here.
She is the bestest. Oh, and she got a haircut too, huh?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, you. Hope you're good. In terms of will they actually pull a trade? I don't know. I wonder. I should look it up because I'm not 100%. I think, Jamar, this should be season 4. They should have a 5th round option on him for next year. I'm sorry, 5-year option.
Bye.
Night, honey. And I don't think they can get away with it. I think that 5th-year option might scare some teams off in terms of like negotiating how much they're wanting to give up for it in terms of draft capital. But I mean, I'd spend the money on it. A 5th year doesn't bother me. And if you're a team that needs firepower wide receiver, you're not scared of giving him that contract. So could they do it? Would it be smart? Maybe. That's what makes me think that it's not going to be the Bengals that do something that smart for their franchise. I want to ask you too, Dan, because the other news that came out today was that while he is cleared to return in Joe Burrow, that he may have a truncated career because of this injury. Does that change the math for you with either Higgins or particularly Chase, knowing that there might be a shortened end to Joe Burrow as well? Do you just keep control and push all in because you don't have to sign Chase to an extension this year?
I don't think that anything about Burrow's situation should change the way that they handle this, because in today's NFL, you have such small, I mean, not even just today's, the windows for winning Super Bowls is small. And they become even smaller when you're facing Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs every single year. Your windows that win you got 3 years ago, those become fewer. It just is. You get fewer. They have a better defense now. Now they're going to have maybe the best offense that they've had since 2018. Good luck. Like, that's what this is about. You can't just continue to hoard your own money and say, no, we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this. We draft wide receivers and then we're just gonna let them. You can't do that. You got to pay up if you want to win Super Bowls. And at this point, Joe Burrow has said it. Whenever he's their quarterback, their window is now. That's when their window is. You have to let your quarterback be that. Give him the weapons to be able to say that this is our window as long as I'm the quarterback. Because honestly, they don't have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and it's just Joe Burrow. You're not competing. You're just not. You've barely been able to compete with them, to be very honest with you. You've barely been able to. Yeah. So, I don't know.
It's impossible to hang on. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's great. Scotty, thank you for the support and the super chat. Appreciate you, bud. Christo has a good question, too. What separates Worthy and McColl? I know Worthy is better, but why? I have my takeaways, but I know we look at wide receivers differently. What do you got?
You guys, what you saw in that in that opening clip, the biggest play of camp so far from the offense is the ball tracking. One of the biggest things that separates speed receivers is how well you can adjust to the football, not only in the air, but while you are running downfield. And you have to be able to find the football. We saw McCole Hardman give up on footballs, lose them in the air, and blatantly not be able to find them at all when they got close to him and give up on them multiple times. In the playoffs last year alone, just in the playoffs. Go watch the Miami game again. 3 different times he could have had big plays, and he didn't know where the football was. That's not going to happen with Xavier Worthy. It's just not. He tracks the ball so much better. And he's already a better route runner than McCole Hardman has ever been in his entire career. That's not an accident. Again, he was taught at Texas with Steve Sarkisian, who's a fantastic wide receiver developer. And there's a reason that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have said that it's not going to be the same developmental plan. He's getting a lot thrown at him because he can handle it. So mentally, physically, and all of the intangibles you want from a deep wide receiver are different than what McCole had and currently still has.
Yeah. It's the fact that you're not going to get much more out of McCole. His strength right now is that he knows where he's supposed to be. He still doesn't show up there every time. It's not consistent enough. So knowing is half the battle. The other half is execution, and you know that you're not going to get that. And that's the problem. Whereas I think what you see in just a day or two, and now is there other concerns with Worthy? Sure. But in a day or two, you see what Worthy brings just in the ability to be in position and adjust to position, knowing what's coming at him or what should be. Patrick wants to go to him. Patrick wants to go deep to him, to HollyWood, to McCole, anyone. And so just being aware that I think that's the biggest thing about this play. And yes, I'll play it again for everybody because I know we can't get enough of it, right? That's how everybody is, right? We'll put it over here. It's the fact that you had to adjust to it coming off behind right there. It's that last second separation. We talk about it in the draft cycle all the time. It's not just understanding your route. It's understanding how to play the man that's in your route with you. And that's what I think is a very clear separation for me between the two right this minute, even as a rookie with 2 training camp practices in, and that's it.
Yep.
Where it goes from here is where it goes. Christo, thanks for the question, buddy. Steve, nice to see you. Has Trent McDuffie taken more of a leadership role this year? I'd have to find out from somebody who's able to interview the players, because I haven't been able to interview any of them this year yet. But I think Trent is kind of that quieter dude that just leads by example. And he's going to go out there and put out every day like he did today. In fact, I mean, if you want to contrast him with McColl, he knew where the ball was going to be better than McColl did today on the PVU that everybody got to see. But I don't know. I'd love to know if he's taking a more vocal, like, outwardly leadership role, because I think that's a huge positive. From what you see, do you see any evidence one way or the other?
I don't, and I'll say it this way. Nick Bolton and Trent McDuffie were spending a lot of time together this offseason. Nick Bolton leads by example. He is soft-spoken, and he lets his play do the talking. Trent's the exact same way, and I feel like they see that, they understand that, and being the young leaders on this team, they want to operate the same way. I think the Chiefs on defense want to be we let our play do the talking. We're not going to sit here and talk about how good we are. Chris Jones will do that. That's what he does best, and let him be who he is. But everybody else will fall in behind him and show you and back up his talk. That's what this team is about.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Shout out to Lonnie. Nice to see you. Casey Forever, nice to see you back. Hey, Jesus is back. Everybody's coming back in. Nice to see you guys. Hope you're having a good night.
Training camp is here. Y'all coming back. I love to see it. I love it.
We are rolling through. We are taking all of your questions. Chief Belief, I want to shout you out real quick before we get too much further down the line. Look at this. Look at this, folks. A member for that long. I mean, we're going to hit 4 years in the memberships by the time this season is over. Chief Belief, I very much appreciate you, and I just want to say thank you and give you your moment in the sun, because couldn't do it without you. And just to show just how much better you are than me, you even did this after that
what a guy.
to go give people more memberships. So, folks, if you get a free membership, thank Chief Belief. And if you didn't, thank him anyway, because you might get one next time. So cheers to you, buddy. Really appreciate you. And hey, the world goes round. I'm going to have a members piece for you next week early as well. I'll probably record it this week, just so you know, because there's some things that are going to bother me if they don't get them sorted out. So just be prepared for that. But Belief, appreciate you. Chris, also one of our members. Nice to see you back as well, bud. And your question, is there a position group that got hurt last season by the Chiefs carrying 7 wide receivers? Where would you wish they would have added depth on the roster? It's a very, very good question.
Funny enough, the answer to that question is the position that they carried 7. They carried 7 wide receivers, and it hurt them the most because they were throwing guys out there and nobody had enough continuity. There was no continuity in the wide receiver room because Andy was like, fine, we're going to take 7, but you're all going to play. And guess what? There was nothing. There was only Rashee Rice was getting development. And then they finally said, we're done with this. We're going to just throw the guys out there that are going to be out there. And it looked better. So it's ironic that the answer to your question is probably the position that you throw the question out there about.
I will say this, hindsight's 2020. And if you were going to make an investment in another player that you could have carried, I would have liked to seen another edge. FAU is going to have some pressure on him. Spags talked about him today about he's got to see progression in year 2. I think we all understand that. But with BJ's condition, I won't even call it an injury because it's a heart condition at this point. Andy Reid said, and I'm going to have to start distinguishing my reads here pretty soon. Andy Reid said that he's having some tests. He's not at home, but he's not in training camp either. So my guess is he's working with the KU Med as they're tied in with the Chiefs down at the home facility. And hopefully they can make that progression, whatever diagnostics they need, to get to the point where he can start to train again. I don't know his current situation, whether he's even able to lift and run. I think that would probably be very risky unless they've ruled out a bunch of things. But in light of that, Truman Jones is going to get some play behind FAU this training camp as well. I think that's a positive. Now, if you'd made another investment in another edge rusher that maybe you had lying in wait, maybe that could have paid off. But again, unless you have x-ray vision, you don't know what's going to happen. So I can't really fault them.
No, I'm with you, man.
There's Cody. Nice to see you, Cody. I am going to try to get back. Folks, I will just let you know, I'm going to be in Kansas City at some point before the season starts. I don't know if it's going to be exactly at the same spot in training camp. We might be doing a live event for you in Kansas City through Locked On, so you might see that as well. And in which case, Cody, I'm buying beers at KC Beer Co. again. So we'll try to make a party out of it. I know we can get Dan there. But he asked, if you could bring only 3 things at training camp, what would you bring, Dan?
Oh, this is such a good question. So I'm gonna cheat because it's a bundle. Okay, you have to bring a TV and a PlayStation for me to play NCAA 25. I have to, because it just dropped and I have been playing it. I'm already through my first season at Western Michigan. We won the MAC. I won my bowl game, and now I'm back trying to get better. So we're just trying to get through that. But I would also bring as many Sour Patch Kid watermelons as I could. That would be one of the things that I would also bring, because Sour Patch watermelon is my favorite Sour Patch flavor and probably my favorite candy just to snack on. I can, especially if I'm in training camp, I'm not so worried about calories at that point. You're going to lose weight playing in that anyway. So I would definitely do that. And then the very last thing would be my Kindle, so I could read some books, take some notes, and just have some nice relaxing time, whether it's going to be reading about coverages or doing some more football study, some quiet football study.
I like that. For me, it'd probably be a cellular iPad, a personal icy breeze,
there you go.
Probably a personal chef, to tell you the truth. So that's
a good one. I didn't think about that.
Hell, you might be my personal chef after what you've been doing on Twitter lately. So the question is, what would this guy bring? And I'm not really sure if I have the answer. But if I'm Patrick Mahomes, what can make things better for what I'm doing? I know he likes to game like you do, Dan, and I wonder if that would be part of it.
He did this.
I'm a little bit more concerned, right? I'm a little bit more concerned. Is this like the first time he brought a TV, right? Is that what
it is? It's the first time he's brought a TV.
And okay, if that's your bar, then okay, set the bar. I have no problem with that. But I would use something a little bit more. I mean, because do you really have time to just veg out? I don't think so. That's not really.
I think that they do.
What
because Patrick's talking about playing NCAA 25 and watching the Olympics, so he's got time. He was watching the men's basketball team today, so he does have some time.
Okay, all right. It helps when you know the playbook inside and out, so I guess that'll get it done, right? Casey Forever, does anyone know what happened to Justin Reed, how he got hurt? My assumption is that it was a training injury, because I don't think they've said the mode. I know he was in Europe with Travis just a few weeks ago and was unencumbered. I saw him walking. He was fine. So quad injury like that, my guess is going to be a training pull or something like that.
Yeah, it was non-football injury is what they said, so that would be my guess as well.
Not the end of the world. Painful, but I think he'll be able to get back without much. Lego, nice to see you, buddy. How many international players do we actually have on the team? Right now, it's LRZ and Godric. Am I missing somebody?
I don't think so. I think those are the 2 we got.
Okay. What's really interesting is, especially after today's news, I'm going to call him Chu because I'm going to massacre his last name. Godric Chu is in the mix. That was a little surprising for me. If you're Lucas Niang, you're on notice, bro. I know they know what they have in him, and they're probably trying to get more of a look, but they've had Chu for a couple of years too. So for me, that's like, oh, he has made some progress in the offseason, one that wasn't exactly as smooth. He got in a little bit of trouble with Wanye at one point as well, but I think he has a shot to make the roster. And I definitely think LRZ has a shot to make the roster. We could see 2 international players on this roster on the 53 if things fall in a certain way. Am I nuts?
I think you're nuts on 2, because I personally don't think LRZ is going to make the roster. But A little preview of my 53. I do have Chu Godric making the roster as the 9th offensive lineman.
Okay.
Yep, I have him as 9.
Oh, I like carry the one,
Yeah.
do stuff. Okay, I'm with you.
I had to get really quick
man.
to make sure it was 9 or 10.
That's interesting because I had Niang in that slot. So I'm very intrigued by that. Now, again, when you're trying to figure out who the tackle is, they know what Lucas Niang is. Honestly, he looks a bit heavy to me, even compared to last year. So if he's not as nimble as he was last season when he didn't get to play, maybe you are just trying to give exposure right now to younger guys, and Chu would be one of them. I think the other interesting thing for me was that Ethan Driscoll ran with the 2s today. Now that's discounted because both Wanye and Kingsley were running with the 1s at left tackle, just swapping in and out. From what I understand, it is a mad dash. They're swapping in a lot.
Yeah.
And both getting about the same amount of reps. So it is a tie right now. They're just trying to find it. But when they go to the 2s, it was Ethan Driscoll, the rookie. Super huge guy, played right tackle in college. He's getting left tackle reps. That surprised me today. I did a quick review of him pre-draft. Did you see him pre-draft?
I didn't see much of anything, to be honest with you. But once the pads come on, I think things might change a little bit because, again, that's speed's going to kick up. So right now they're probably seeing how he looks, how comfortable he feels, just getting into some of his drops. And it's a good thing. Just one, get confidence underneath you as a young player that the coaching staff, wants to see that from you and wants to get you some experience and exposure early in camp. So just having all of that experience will help you in the long run. But to be honest with you, behind all these guys is a lot of inexperience. So they might not have a choice but to throw somebody to the wolves and say, hey, buddy, you got to do what you got to do here.
Right. Sometimes that's the way that it's going to go. Nice to see you guys. Daniel, forever. Nice to see you too. We're going through your questions, folks. If you want on the show tonight, I guarantee you'll get an answer for the super chats, and we're going to continue to tick down as we go through. Dr. Ozzy, nice to see you, pal. DB Room might end up being the fiercest battle. Heard lots of good about Kelvin Joseph. Do you think he makes the team? People called me crazy when I put him on my 53-man, the preview one, because he is that kind of battler that Spags likes. Now, does it end up that way? I don't know. He also missed because of a personal reason today. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's some complication. I hope not, because I honestly felt like the Chiefs were maybe one of the best fits for him coming out and for him to make his way through his arduous path. I just hope that nothing's gone awry and he's not messing that up, because I think that he has a shot to make this team, Dan. I think he's neck and neck with probably the draft pick Haddon. Where do you feel about it? And have you heard anything I haven't?
I actually think we've seen Haddon playing some slot, which is new development considering he's predominantly been an outside guy. He projects more, but that also might speak to what Spags wants to do, is be more physical even in the slot, which is when you're not having Trent McDuffie, who has that short area quickness and doesn't have to rely on physicality in the slot. You can get away with not having to be super physical, but we have Jamari Connor there, who is not the quick twitch athlete that McDuffie was. Haddon more physical as well. So they might be just kind of trying to lean into being more physical. And I currently have both Haddon and Joseph on my 53-man roster that I have projected right now. So I think there's a lot to be taken from what we're seeing right now. Joseph, with the pedigree and still only 24 years old, will absolutely have a shot to make this roster and not just be a backup, but you might see him vying for playing time. I think the guy that we should be worried about is Nick Jones. Najee Johnson's in competition for that starting cornerback job as well. With Haddon playing some slot snaps with the first team and rotating in there, Nick Jones might be on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah, which is tough, especially when he made a tip that produced an interception today. You got to string a few of those together. On your 53, are you still counting Connor as a safety?
No, I have. Yes, I am. Sorry, I am counting him as a safety.
Okay. I was wondering. I was jealous that you could get.
I've got 6 corners and I've got Connor as a safety because he's probably still going to be listed at safety, because they're going to carry 4 safeties. And then they'll have 6 DBs, but Connor will be playing slot. So it's like 7 and 3. But they have that ability to just kind of mess around because that's what they do.
And that's nice. Today, folks, they let Trey Dean, go. I warned everybody about that a couple of weeks ago. I didn't think he was going to make the roster, but I didn't think he'd get let go this early either. But they brought back Gillespie, the Mizzou product that has been on the practice squad as well and has some experience. So they made that change as well. And I think it's about getting safety bodies right now with Reed out. I don't know that changes that math that you just said, Dan, in what is truly like a 7-3 situation. But I like the idea of getting Joseph and Haddon onto the roster because I don't know what's going on with Justin Watson. I don't know how, or Jalen Watson. I don't know what's going on with Justin Watson either. But I don't know what's going on with Jalen. So if there's any kind of lag into the season, Joshua's playing well, and kudos to him. He and Najee are going to battle for that outside spot opposite McDuffie. But I want more insurance there. So I like that concept a lot. Thank you, Ozzy. Great question. Info, nice to see you back, buddy. One of the OGs coming back. Nice to see everyone. Any reason we aren't hearing about any contract talks for Creed and or Butker? I don't see a reason to wait. Honestly, I wouldn't either, but I don't think this would be the time we'd be hearing about it. They really don't like to do contracts in camp. They would have probably tried to done that, and at the very least had somebody sign it the day before camp so they can just walk in and go. But do you think that there's a reason for that? Is Creed's market just too high, or is it just a timing thing here?
I think that the players are just letting this season happen. You know, Nick Bolton's talked about his contract. He has put it aside because they want to focus on three-peating. The players have decided they're going to put all this contract energy aside to focus on doing something that's never been done before. That's a team that's bought into the situation and wants to do something and create history. So yes, I believe that they just aren't talking about it because it's not on their mind right now. What's on their mind is winning another Super Bowl, and that's what you want to hear.
And honestly, you got to give the captains credit for that because Mahomes, Kels, McDuffie, Jones, that's all they've talked about. We don't hear from Nick Bolton very often, but when we do, everyone seems to be focused on the three-peat and just how historic it can be. And so if your captains are leaning that in, I think it circles the wagons, keeps everybody together. That's exactly what they need right now. So we'll see when we get some percolating news info. We'll definitely address it. Scotty, thank you. What players are auditioning for their next team during training camp and practice squad? Your thoughts right now, and then I'll give you mine.
I think Lucas Niang is legitimately vying for other teams because, again, like you said, he looks a bit heavier than he did last year. That's not what you need coming into training camp for a guy who was maybe trying to be the backup right tackle, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen for him. So I think he's got to start playing for those other teams out there. Practice squad's just not really your spot. He's just not got much upside. You know, coming out, thought there was a lot of upside there. He got hurt, and I won't use the term that I was about to use because I don't know him personally, but if you don't get better throughout your time in the first few seasons, 3 seasons now with injury, it's not going to happen for you. So he's auditioning for other teams. Any receiver could be as well. Justin Ross might be. He's made some plays early, but it's going to be tough for him to make the roster unless he just blows up. The rest of the guys on my list, I can't think of anyone on the top of my head. Let me pull up the roster real quick. You go ahead.
Well, you nailed it. I was going to name those two guys, as well as I think some combination of Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney are likely trying to impress someone else besides just the Chiefs staff. It doesn't mean that the Chiefs are going to cut them, but they could. It's definitely a possibility. As I look farther down here, there are so many DBs on this roster. There are definitely some of them that are, hey, where could I end up? What could I do to show myself off a little bit? I like Keith Taylor. Was Trent McDuffie's teammate for a year at Washington, understands the system, understands the concepts, comes from the same background. I don't think he's got much of a shot to make the roster, unfortunately. DJ Miller, he's a free agent kid. He made an interception today. I don't know that he's got a shot either because it's those guys like Eko Boyedo, who's going to make plays for you, will play teams that's in there with Haddon and with Joseph. I think Miles Battle is going to be a practice squatter. I don't think they're going to take a chance on letting him go.
Eko Boyedo is going to be
2
too.
years, they could see him being in the mix. Yeah, it's crazy.
They got some legit talent
so for me, it's those guys. I feel bad because I hate to point somebody out when I know they're trying to do everything they can to make the roster. Alex Gubner was the first guy out of practice today, and that usually means that you're a guy that's trying to show I'll do everything you want me to do. Let me on this damn roster. So I feel for him a little bit, but I will say this: I've seen flashes from Phillip Brooks, the wide receiver. I know people are high on Jaron Hayek. I think both of those guys could be doing the same thing. Nick Torres, he is a backup lineman. I think he might have something that he might have to prove. I was going to say Baylor Cup, and I like Baylor Cup a lot. With Garrett Prince being let go and going to IR, I believe he cleared waivers this afternoon. I haven't seen the report yet. So if he got picked up, no worries. But if he didn't, he's going to revert to IR. He's done for the year. So Cup's now competing with Irv Smith to be the fourth tight end. I don't think that that's like the most outlandish thing ever.
The Chiefs did bring back who was it? The guy who's been on the roster or on practice squad before. So I wouldn't say he's competing with Smith. I think he's probably still behind Gathings as someone who's been here and done that. So it's I don't think anyone's really competing with the four tight ends that we know are going to make the roster unless Smith is just legitimately awful.
Fair enough. I'm going to be a little bit more. I like him better. That's just me. That's fair. Chief Belief, thanks for that one, and go Rogue Nation. And folks, if you don't know us, this is Rogue Nation. We are a subset of Chiefs Kingdom, but that's the way that it goes. You can become one of us. Click the memberships, grab the gear, do the stuff, make the things. It's perfectly fine. Info. Do you think Raheem Mostert could fill McKinnon's role if we did a trade deadline deal? Absolutely. I think that's exactly what his bread and butter is. He doesn't catch the ball quite as well as Jarek does, but he's definitely, I think, got the explosiveness to him. I don't know if he can cut as well as he used to, but I think it's still within the realm of Jarek. I just can't see giving anything up of value for a running back unless there's an injury to the guys they have.
Yeah, it's not a position you trade for, in my opinion, unless you're getting a top guy.
Yeah. I mean, you want to trade me McCaffrey? Okay, we can talk.
We can talk.
But yeah. I mean, I'm about to drop a piece next week, folks. If you haven't been tuning in to NFL 33, make sure you get over there and check that out. I've been working through that and really trying to take the front off perspective. I don't know what the Giants thought Saquon Barkley was going to do, but he wasn't going to come back there for a no-nonsense deal. And I think the Eagles actually overpaid him. I wouldn't pay that for Barkley, and I certainly wouldn't trade for that contract. So like Dan said, unless you're getting an elite player at the position, even somebody as good as Saquon Barkley, I wouldn't be pulling a trade for. Aaron, thank you for all the hard work and insight, guys. Thank you, Aaron, for being here to listen to it, because it's pretty much worthless if we're just talking to each other. So Lucas, rank these guys in terms of most likely to be extended first, Dan. Justin Reed, Harrison Butker, Trey, and Bolton.
All right, so first number one is probably going to be Bolton. I think he is on at the top of their list because of his leadership and the mental side for Steve Spagnuolo. That's what he values, and I think that I know it's linebacker, but I think that's what they want. I would say you could argue him and Creed are 1 and 2, but also there's like a cluster for me with Bolton, Creed, and Reed. I would say those three guys are the top, and Butker would be right after. And the only reason I'm saying that is because the Chiefs got Butker off of the practice squad. As good as Harrison Butker is, and they don't win a Super Bowl last year without Harrison Butker, they would not be hard pressed to find another kicker. Okay, it wouldn't. It could get done. So he would be right there, and then it would be Trey at the last, because, again, we've seen the guard market explode, and I believe that they just drafted the guy that's going to be succeeding him after this year.
It's definitely possible. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in there because I agree with you. The top three are the top three. I would go Creed, Reed, and then Bolton myself, but you may be absolutely right about the Chiefs. Only because even today, Steve Spagnuolo was just like, Justin Reed, he'll be fine. He's the smartest dude we have. Like, we need him. I just think that there's need there anyway. But for Trey, it comes down to what we're not seeing so far. What are we not seeing, folks? We're not seeing Joe Toney. If Joe Toney were to medically retire or the Chiefs part ways, that's a huge chunk of salary that makes Trey affordable in my eyes. And I would work that before the kicker for the same reason that you just said. That's the only thing I disagree.
That's fair. And until we find out what's going to happen with him, that's how I have it slotted. So I still foresee him being a part of the team going forward. So that's just a mental block in my mind.
No, hey, I might just be dreaming. You never know. I'm going to ask this one from Chris to you. Thoughts on the battle of left tackle just 2 practices in?
I mean, to be honest with you guys, the fact that we're getting so much run from Suamataia early, I know it's like a lot of reps together. It's a good sign for him. It's a very good sign for him. When the pads come on, that's when you're going to find out. But the fact that he's already getting as many reps as he is with a guy who was on the team and started last year at left tackle. Let's not forget, he started games at left tackle. Kingsley is looking right now, at least in my mind, to be leading the group. And obviously pads will change everything, but it's a very good sign for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think that is probably the best scenario. But I do think that they're not going to shy away from giving everybody the opportunity. So the question to me is that I think Wanya has the lead because of the experience and understanding the playbook and everything else. So does he feel the heat from Kingsley and up his game? Is he able of lifting his game to another level? That's going to be the question for me. But I love that it's a battle. I love that Kingsley's like, I'm here and I'm right here. Right here, right now is what he said. And I will say this, shout out to our buddies over at KCSN. I'm not going to steal their content and put it up on our stream, but you guys have seen it because they shot that big play. But if you go back and you watch it, it was Kingsley's first play on the field that day. It was snap number 4. So when he got the first 3, then he comes in. And if you take a look at it, the line call is a slide to the right and he goes left. So I think he actually surprised Noah Gray on that block a little bit because Noah looked like he was trying to reach the guy. So it's not all smooth sailing, but just the fact, even despite that he's continued to get just as many reps and been in there for strings, like you said. Strings help you get a rhythm and get a feel for the play to play. And I think that's a little bit more important. They have been in years past, sometimes I think too quick, too rotational at times. So I do agree with you. I think that is a great look at what's going on now. James, do y'all see more 3 wide receiver sets in addition of Brown and Worthy being burners? I mean, that's their base. What do you think? I think they want to do it, but I don't know that it produces more 11 personnel groupings.
No, I think that they're going to stick with what they've done for the most part. You're going to see a lot of 11 personnel, which is what they do, but they're also going to mix in a lot of 13 and 12 because it keeps defenses honest. If you just get out there and trot out 11 all the time, and even more so than the Chiefs are doing without making them feel like you can get big and run the football at times and even throw out of it, they're going to start to compress and squeeze the offense, which we've seen even with Tyreek Hill on the field and McCole Hardman at the same time. In years past, defenses really did squeeze the Chiefs offense, and it made it more difficult for them to throw the football. So I think that what they did last year personnel wise is still what we're going to see, but you're going to probably see more explosiveness because that's what they're really going for.
Wow, I certainly hope so. I've been very, very happy with what we've seen so far.
Oh yeah.
Folks, I want to get Mr. Anderson in here for supporting the channel. Nice to see you. I cannot say your name without thinking of The Matrix, the original. Sorry.
The Matrix.
Thanks for the 5 spot, brother. Kelsey's gone full dad bod. Well, not
Love
full.
it.
That's me. What that means he will be unstoppable this season. Rip NFL. Hey, you know what? If you're fat and happy, your life's going pretty good. Yeah, why not? Let it go.
I mean, Travis Kelce's living the life. Let's be very honest with ourselves. He is. There is not much going wrong for that man. He might have the best year, best vibes of his entire career. Like, let's just let it happen. These next 2 years could be some of the best we've seen on Travis Kelce. You know what, guys? He ran the fastest he's ever run in the Super Bowl this past year in like 5 or 6 years.
Right?
Like that third down play was the fastest he's run in like 5 years. we might get a couple more of those in the next 2 years because that man is just happy. So appreciate the 5 spot here and the bringing that up because you're not wrong.
No, you are definitely not wrong. Oh man, I hope that he is in good shape. I want to see that attack. Austin, McCole, Sky, Kadarius, Romeo, Justin Ross. Who would you guys cut right now? Well, I mean, do I have to make a choice? I'm just asking.
I actually have McCall on the roster. Funny enough,
I know.
I feel like he was brought back for a reason. It makes too much sense. So, I mean, personally,
I just had a picture of him ready. I would have put McCall on the roster too.
Absolutely. You guys know how I feel about Kadarius. I would personally cut him. I'd just cut ties and let it be. Just let the past be in the past and let go forward. I don't know, man. What do you got? I'm
with you. If it comes down, especially, it doesn't look like we're going to see Rashee Rice get suspended in the regular season. What Clark Hunt had to say today makes me feel like at least not the regular season. So for me, knowing that none of these guys are going to be the top 3, that tells me it's a little bit less risky to let one of them go. So I do like the idea. I agree with you. McCall should be on here because then it gives you a 3 wide receiver set that you can send that's faster than anybody else in this damn league.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true.
I will take that. But as far as if Kadarius were to be gone, I don't think Justin Ross has done anything. So for me, if you then come down to Justin Watson and then either Sky or Remigio, I think Remigio might be able to do some of the things that you're asking Kadarius to do. So I don't think that it's that big a loss. So for me, it'd be Kadarius and then Ross, and we would just go from there.
Yeah,
I'm just dying to use some of these pictures that I like, folks. So it's fun. Is it possible, realistically, Pacheco could get 20+ touches a game? I mean, nothing's impossible, brother, and I would like to see nothing more. But Andy'd have to be drunk.
I think they just have to be up by a bunch in these games to be able to make that happen. And this might be the offense that does it. Who knows? But I don't think it's a realistic thing to expect 20+ touches per game. I think at most you'll see 18 to 19. You might see 20 every now and then, but Andy doesn't want the tread on the tires, to be very honest with you. Like, he doesn't want that. He wants him fresh for the playoffs. That's the idea behind this entire offense, honestly. It's to make it so everyone is as fresh as possible for the postseason run that everyone knows is coming.
Yeah, I agree. It's just tough. Elks Pride, thank you for the super chat, and I'm just going to answer it right now.
Thank you.
Can you decode my super chat again? 45 days, dudes. Decode me. I'm totally lost. So, Dan, you're going to have to help me out.
This one I'm not entirely sure about, to be very honest with you. I can't.
I was like, what are you talking about, Pride?
No, I did it last time because it was the 15, or it was like, I forget which one. It was like 1587, which is Patrick and Kelsey's number. But unless this is got to be what?
I'm guessing this is 45 days till kickoff, right? Of game 1.
I mean, but it's not.
I'd have to do the damn math. Isn't it though?
I mean, it's 45 days, but yes, but this is 421.
Oh, right. Sorry. See, this is why I put it up here, Elk. You're gonna have to just explain it to us because I'm stupid. I appreciate you though, and thank you.
Very much appreciate it.
Sean, nice to see you, pal. Best Chiefs do on YouTube. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank
you. Should we be worried about the Ravens run game in week 1? Yeah, hell yeah, I am. Absolutely. I think maybe one of the things that's made me the happiest in the last couple of days is just how giddy Mike Pennell seems to be.
Yeah, I got it. He did put it in there, but I remembered. It's Xavier Worthy's 40 time.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. God, I suppose I should remember that shite, right?
Yeah. It was only
I'm not not tonight, brother. Not tonight. Oh, thank you, Pride. I will
appreciate it.
Be worthy next time, I promise you.
We'll try. I like these. I like these though. It keeps my brain fresh. So we can keep this going, man.
Right?
I like it.
Absolutely. I am totally with you. So I mean, yeah, and not just the run game. Skinny Lamar. I know he's not practicing because he's scared, but Skinny Lamar definitely scared. Need to be on the outlook for that because and you want to know what? Just because I'm having a ball with this stuff, the guys that should be the most scared of Skinny Lamar are these dudes. Yeah. Because the defensive line wants to go attack gaps, and if you give him a crease, he's going to be gone. And speaking of Happy Mike, you got to love him. He's leading it all in there, you guys. And for those of you who haven't seen him yet, that 99 does not wear like the last guy to wear 99, who I loved also. But our guy, Love It, is looking trim and ready. So
Fabian,
you guys are going to camp in the next few days, right? Right? If you're going to camp in the next few days, check out 99. It is not Colin Saunders, but he might surprise you. I'm just going to say.
Oh, I miss Colin. I miss Colin a lot because he was a damn good football player. I know. And I love that guy. But
I think Travis shouted him out the other day too. So he's still part of the room.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. How's Kingsley doing so far? I think we covered that. I didn't have any other thoughts about it.
Yeah, just rookie stuff. Once the pads come on, we'll have a better understanding. But he's learning the playbook. It's not going to be perfect. I mean, that's okay with me.
Yeah, it is what it is. Thanks, Jesus. Appreciate you, though, buddy. To GOAT, Dan, I respectfully disagree with you that KT can't make it as a wide receiver, barring new information, because I believe KT has done more in an actual NFL game than anyone else as a wide receiver. I mean, anyone else? More than Sky, I'll give you that. More than the guys that he's competing against, but I would not say so about Rice or HollyWood. But who knows?
Yeah. So I know I understand. Trust me, I get it. My problem with it is that since he's gotten in the league, he's gotten worse every year. Every single year he's gotten worse. And even from his first season when they traded for him to last year, he got progressively worse. And he had not just drops, but drops that led to interceptions. He called out coaches. That's my problem with Kadarius Toney. Is that he said that coaches were lying about him not being able to play. Yeah. I don't care about everything else. For me, it's more about the distraction that he's become away from football. And honestly, even on the football field, he's become a distraction. Yeah. So I understand the talent. Trust me, I really do. I get it. I wanted the Chiefs to draft him coming out. Like the talent guys remember, he's like super talented, but extremely raw. And that rawness has not gotten better. It hasn't. He hasn't really learned much about the game, which from the mental side tells me he's not engaged, and we're seeing it.
That's probably the biggest thing. He's still the same player he was in college. And my last note on my evaluation on him was head case. I don't want this guy at my roster.
Yeah.
So I tried to give him a chance, but we'll see. Maybe you're right, Goat. I hope that you are, because I'd love to see him contribute.
It'd be great.
And so Scott's tie-in for you as well. I would say that Moore's a little bit more capable. I couldn't name a game to point you to, but I've just seen him get in the mix a little bit more. KT wants nothing to do with blocking.
His rookie season, Moore was the best graded run blocker from all the wide receivers on the Chiefs roster. He just was. So he's got a better pedigree as a blocker, as you could say.
You take this one because I know what I think, and I'm
all right, Patrick. Yes. Would it make sense for Veach to go get Justin Simmons right now? Yeah. Be fantastic. It would make so much sense. It would make him a lot of sense. And again, we could do lots of different things with Brian Cook, with Justin Reed, with Jaden Hicks, with all these guys. It'd be just so much fun because you could say, hey, Justin, go stand back there. Go stand back there. Go do what you do best. We're going to have so much fun down here with everybody else that you just don't worry about it. You just make sure no one throws deep. Yes, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I am with you. And again, it's only about making the money work. But man, yes, if you just want to take away teams' ability to try to keep up with you, put him and Reed back there and let Cook roam with Hicks. Hell, we're on. It's on. I'm here for it. Thank you, Patrick. Good to see you. JJ, nice to see you. Is it better to extend Joe Toney and sign Creed and let Trey go, or sign both Creed and Trey and let Joe walk? It all depends on how he comes back from this injury, in my opinion. If he is diminished in any significant way, a little bit I can handle, but any significant way, I'm going with the young guys.
Yeah, this is it. If this is a Mitchell Schwartz situation, sorry. Bye. Goodbye, Joe.
Yeah.
We loved you. You did a fantastic job. You won 2 rings. Maybe 3, depending on how this year goes. But
3. Let's go 3.
But yeah, so it's going to be let the young guys take it from here.
I agree. Great question, though, JJ. And honestly, it's one we're going to answer again and again because we're going to have to keep thinking about it. Dodger Ozzy, thank you. Another one of our members. If I didn't say that before, Ozzy, always appreciate you, bud. Rasheed had 2 fumbles today, one from Drew and one from Trent. He had some issues at times holding onto the ball last year, early camp jitters or reason for concern. I'm going to call it early, and I'm also going to defer to Steve Spagnuolo. He said today that they track the number of punch outs you attempt. So he's on maybe earlier than any other training camp I've ever seen him about his defenders trying to make those plays. So it's not an excuse for Rasheed, but the competition level is higher on day 2 this year than it has been in any year that I've seen, is my opinion.
Yeah, Nick Bolton's talked about it too. That they're getting after the football. They want to be punching out. They want to get back to what it was a couple years ago. They were getting fumbles left and right. So they're mentally and more engaged about punting or about punching it out. Rasheed's just got to hold on to the football a little bit better. I'm going to be a little bit less optimistic than Ryan because this is not just a one-off thing for him. Last year was a bit of a problem, and we're seeing it didn't impact the Chiefs all that much. He was able to get them back. Got to be a little bit better on that. Tighten it up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, it certainly can't argue. I'm trying to be positive, that's for sure. Pittman BS. Would you consider Rice a successful draft pick if he fell off the rest of his contract and turned into a Toney type receiver? Would he have got to the bowl without him, Super Bowl without him? No, we wouldn't have gotten to the Super Bowl without him. I'll tell you that right now. In a year that was a desert for wide receiver talent, he did pull them up. But if he becomes Kadarius Toney and if he never reaches his rookie output again, I would not consider that a successful pick.
No, you can't, especially when you trade up in the second round for him. It would not be successful no matter how good he was in his rookie year. So yeah, with Ryan on that one, 0 chance that'd be successful.
Alex, nice to see you. Gonna hit 2 years in the members tomorrow or next month. Really appreciate you. And the house that Mahomes built, all for a new stadium. As in, you want the name to be that? I can live with that. But yeah, I don't know. Clark was a little iffy today about what's going to go on. He's trying to ride that line. He's trying to keep Missouri fans happy that, hey, we could still end up in Missouri. It could still happen. I don't know if that's true, but I'm glad that he made the effort because I don't want it to become something that splinters the kingdom.
I do appreciate the effort there. Again, he's going to end up going where the money is. That's all that matters at this point. That's what he's going to do. But the effort is at least nice to see. Unlike with the Bengals GM, no effort there at all. A little bit more self-awareness from Clark Hunt today, which was nice to see.
Yeah, well done. Vindel, nice to see you. Hey, why they stick KT in the running back room? He's so damn fragile. I got to say, because I don't know if they trust him downfield. They trust him with the pitch passes and the little BS jet crap. But time and time again, when they threw him passes beyond 8 yards, he screwed them. So put it in his gut and let him run. He is a dynamic athlete. I will give him that. And if he doesn't have to think and he doesn't have to concentrate, maybe if you just stick it in his gut and he runs with it, maybe it'll produce something. I don't know.
If you just use him like the 49ers used Debo a few years ago, where he's basically just a running back playing wide receiver at times, I'm fine with it. I'm totally okay with it. I got no problems there.
Yeah, it recoups some value.
Yeah.
Lonnie, thank you, bud. So at this point, what position do we have anxiety about besides tackle? Where are you anxious?
I'm anxious about defensive tackle. And it's not because I don't love David, Fabian Levitt, which I think he's going to be very good. They have a lot of guys on 1-year deals and a lot of unproven guys, and they're still trying to get something more out of Tershawn Wharton, who had flashes last year. Finally, after being 2 years removed from injury, finally started to look a little bit more like himself. So I think he's only back on a 1-year deal. So I'm still anxious about that.
Okay. I will tell you this. I think they can be okay if it works out, but even with the average and even with Lovett as the rookie, is DT not the oldest average position group on this roster? I think that it is by a good margin.
Yeah, it might be.
And that's what concerns me a little bit. But Lonnie, we got to see how it pans out. I wouldn't say that I'm super anxious about anything. I want to see how the linebackers work out, but that's backups. I want to see how the running backs work out, but that's backups. You know what I mean? So it's about attrition through the season. Joe, do you think the Chiefs players are in better shape than any other team because of the long season, or is it the opposite? For me, I believe it's the opposite.
I don't really know how to answer this question because they do a great job of getting ready for every season. Like the Chiefs take getting prepared more seriously than just about any team in the NFL, and that's why Andy Reid does what he does with training camp. He runs the hardest training camp. You ask anybody in the NFL, he runs the hardest one to get in better shape for the season. And also because at this point, they know they have to be able to kind of skate at times. You have to be able to coast a little bit in this league for Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones to be fresh for a playoff run. That again, they've played the most football of any team in football over the last 6 years. It's just, it doesn't end here.
Brett Coleman said it 2 weeks ago. You let them lose all these games and you still couldn't knock them out. The regular season doesn't matter. I don't necessarily agree with that 100%, but he does make a point. They just got to make it through. They don't have to be undefeated. They don't have to push for that kind of thing. They have to be the healthiest team that starts the wild card weekend. That's it. That is it. Do you feel like the training camp is better from roster-wise than it was from last year's teams? Felt like a lot of pressure on us to go back-to-back championships. This year feels better. Do you agree? Great question, Bradley. And Dan, I'd like to hear your answer first.
So I think that this is a better roster than they had last year. And again, we have to have a little bit of 2020 vision on this. I felt last year's roster was really good too, right? Like I thought it was really good. I can see it now. Obviously, the offense wasn't what we thought it was going to be. But this team, like you said, I don't know if there's as much pressure with this one because last year the pressure in season was more than they've ever played with, than they have ever felt, ever dealt with. And the adversity is higher. I would think that helps them play much lighter this year than they've played in maybe years since they won their first Super Bowl. So, I don't know necessarily that I feel like there's a ton of pressure on them. I think that this year they'll be playing a little bit lighter than they ever have.
I hope so. There's only one position that I disagree with that about, and that is only because we have so many question marks beyond Trent McDuffie. And with L'Jarius's departure, that is a more significant departure than I think most people are letting on right now because Trent is able to make plays like he made today. I would love to show you guys that one too. KCSN did a good job getting it. Congrats, guys. I just don't have enough cameras to be in enough places on enough days. So that's the way that it goes. Could you see rookie running back UCLA Carson Steele legitimate playing time in 2024? I abstained from this discussion.
It's because you're biased. That's why. The answer to this question for me is no. I don't think so. I don't have him currently making the roster, but that can change very quickly over the next week because I actually have Keontae Ingram nudging his way into this roster because of the experience factor. I also think he might be able to provide you something with pass protection that you don't get.
I'm going to say I effing hope so. How's that?
That's
what I'm here for. I am here for Carson Steele. Can he really do it? Only if Andy's like, it's going to be a light box. we might as well run some power against 2 high safeties and blast people. Maybe Andy gets like this surge of angry Andy at 68 or whatever he is. I can only hope so, Sam. So thank you for bringing up Carson. How does Felix look? Any chance of him breaking out this season? There's always a chance, Steven. I haven't seen any specific reps of his, Dan. Have you?
I haven't seen anything recently. We know that he's been working with Tamba and George in the offseason. Again, I know this is a cliche and boring answer. Got to wait till the pads come on to know. And that comes in a few days. So that's all I got for you.
Yep. We're all waiting with bated breath. We'll definitely have some better idea for you next Monday night, folks. And we're going to hit the last couple of questions. I know we're over time. We usually do, folks. We try to keep you so your rest of your life is not taken up. So thanks. Like, sub, hit the bell. Join us. Make sure you get us on YouTube, on everywhere. X, TDN for Dan, NFL 33 for both of us from time to time. Me a little bit more so right now, but we'll see what happens. Get everywhere because we got a ton of stuff going on. Bradley, seeing Sky Moore dropping balls starting to get frustrating. He is on the bubble. Me come to make the roster. I think we both see him as close to the bubble right now. I would have him on it at the moment, though. Dan, would you?
Yeah, I have him at like the last wide receiver. He's one of those guys. But again, dropping the football is not something he typically does. Like, he still had a very low percentage of drops last year. Just he had a really big publicized one, and so
right.
I'm an apologist. Okay, I'm a Sky Moore apologist. So that's my thing.
Okay. Of course, Alex, you got to sneak me in super chat at the last moment. We're going to wrap with you in just a second here, buddy. Do you think that Toney coming out of the backfield would offer something special with his natural athletic twitch? Could he do tons of fun things for Andy? Pono, you're absolutely right. And that's what we were getting at before. Like that's the one possibility that you take some of the question marks that we've seen the last season out. So, hey, why not give it a shot? Mahalo for the question. Nice to see you, pal.
If he's going to be on the roster, you may as well find some way to use his talents. And that's one of the ways. You definitely could.
Let him return kicks and let him try something. Is Travis on a pitch count, Dan? Is it like literal snaps or targets per game?
Not like Andy Reid's got like a number where he gets to and he pulls him out. It's just more of a concerted effort to give him a little bit more rest during the season and not take the hits that he's had to. And specifically with the wide receiver, the way that they are, he shouldn't take as many of the big hits as he has over the past couple of seasons.
I'm with you. How can Wiley help out? He can just take some of that load off. Wiley has been pretty vocal so far about being an all-around tight end. So if he can take some of the blocking, if he can, and not enough so that you know what they're doing because Wiley's in, but enough that Travis doesn't have to get down in the muck anymore. The wide receivers are going to pull coverage off of him. He shouldn't get mugged as much this season as he has the last two.
Very true.
But you got to do everything you can to keep avoiding that at all costs. Des, nice to see you, pal. Another member, give him a shout out. I remember seeing a video where it said Worthy is now what KT had potential to be, but never lived up to. I mean, if you're just talking about practice reps, I'm 100% with you, but KT has made plays in actual ball games, so I'm not ready to jump there yet.
I mean, very different players to me. Very different players to me. One, KT being a Debo Samuel type player in the sense that he's best using his skills in the first 5 yards, 10 yards to make guys miss and getting into space, whereas Worthy is a deep threat, can run routes far better than KT can. So they're different styles for me, and I think when you watch them, you kind of see that personally.
I don't disagree. Thanks, Des. Good to see you, bud. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the 5 spot. Can I see it? I can see it now. Mahomes and Wentz line up. Pacheco flips it to Mahomes. Mahomes tosses to Wentz for a goal line touchdown. I mean, sure. He's still agile. He's got a big body.
I love this.
Here's the other thing. They're already practicing speed pitches. Like, they're going to run a speed option this year. Why not let it be Carson? He could take the sneaks. He could take the speed options. I'm all for it.
Line him up at tight end. Line him up at tight end.
Yeah.
You tell me Carson Wentz can't run a tight end route? Bring it on. Give me something. Use it.
Full backfield, both the quarterbacks go to the spread. That's what I'm looking for. Alex, great one, and thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. We're going to wrap up with Steven tonight, folks. Make sure you like and sub, and we'll get with you tomorrow. If you guys do like audio, it is available on audio as well. I don't know if everybody knows that. I haven't mentioned it in quite a while, but yes, we are on an audio-only feed. We have big things coming for you this season, so you might want to get it a couple of times. Might as well pitch it. Which late-round draft pick do you see contributing the most this season? That's a great question.
Contributing,
and I just don't know if I can.
Tough spot.
It is, and I just don't know if I consider my guy the guy that I immediately thought of as actually late round. But who would you choose?
I would say Kamal Hadden. That's what I would say. I do think he's going to make the roster, and the fact that he's playing a little bit of slot again. If by some again, we're going to knock on wood here. In some instance, that you have Connor who has to play more safety snaps. If he's right there, if he's the backup slot, he gets in there and he can contribute. So I think that there's a path to him playing a little bit more than some of the other guys that I would consider late round guys.
Okay. And I completely agree with you. I'm going to go a little bit farther on limb and say any day 3 guys, a late round guy. And for me, it's going to be Jaden Harris. I think he's going to be everywhere. I think he's going to be on top of it more so than even Wiley is. So I hope that you're right. But and I know I'm kind of cheating there, folks. That's the way that it goes. Thank you all for being with us. It's another Monday night. Thanks for everything you guys have been doing lately. We've been changing up some of our topics and some of our formats. We're going to keep doing that. If you guys have things you'd like to see or feedback for us, please leave it in the comments below and leave your reviews wherever you want. Hit us on X and all that as well. Dan, thank you for everything you've been doing. And I know you are now busier than me. So it's more power to you.
I wouldn't say I'm busier than you because you have a day job on top of the content that you do. So, I mean, I am a stay-at-home dad, which is its own job. But again, like we all do lots of stuff. So we're just here having a great time. And the fact that the season is almost here, boy, it's going to go full. It's going to fly from here on out. I know that we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is paying off, folks. It's going to be a great ride towards that 3-peat. Be with us. Thank you for spending your Monday night. I'll have something for you tomorrow. We got content all week long, and then we are back next Monday night for another live Q&A, just like always. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next time.